So MegaETH is the first real-time blockchain. The real-timeness comes from ultra-low latency. So for comparison, Solana has 400 millisecond latency, which is the time when you hit transaction on a blockchain till the time the transaction is processed on the blockchain. So Solana has 400 millisecond. MegaETH is actually right now in private testnet. We have 10 millisecond, and we're trending toward 1 millisecond. So we're 40x faster than Solana.
G-Mega. Today we're diving deep into MegaETH, a high-performance Ethereum L2 that is making waves in the crypto space. Our guest is no stranger to big ideas and bold execution. Coming from an impressive academic background, she is leading one of the most innovative crypto projects in the Ethereum ecosystem and beyond. This is BlockHunters Voices, the podcast with cool kids from the blockchain space. I am Joachim Vuj, your host. Xiao, welcome.
Hello, Viju. Nice to meet you. Just a minor correction. We are the first real-time blockchain, which is to emphasize on low latency. We're using Ethereum as a security and settlement layer, but fundamentally, we're the first blockchain that can achieve Web 2 level latency.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. I want to start a little from the start because I know that you had an impressive academic path, including Harvard. What was your experience there like, and how did it shape your approach to business and technology?
To be honest, crypto is such a unique industry. It doesn't really matter what's your academic background. You have to love the game. You have to be in the trenches. You have to be very creative on what's the next meta, what are the use cases. So I think my academic background was good in terms of broadening my network, but honestly, not so much helping in crypto.
Okay, and what do you think was the biggest cultural shock you faced when entering this blockchain industry, which is different than any other industry?
My biggest culture shock was how powerful it is. It really allows small guys to do big things. And it really coordinates people from very different background to work on the same mission. I mean, the fact that me and you, Viju, we are here doing a podcast together with two complete strangers, I think it's really beautiful. I think something beautiful about their just that unite humanity is very rarely found in other industry, which is way more competitive.
Yeah, in my head I always say I have that. Nokia had that motto: connecting people. That's how I see crypto, connecting people.
Yes.
For those who've never heard of MegaETH, what's the simplest way to describe it?
Yeah. So MegaETH is the first real-time blockchain. The real-timeness comes from ultra-low latency. So for comparison, Solana has 400 millisecond latency, which is the time when you hit transaction on a blockchain till the time the transaction is processed on the blockchain. So Solana has 400 millisecond. MegaETH is actually right now in private testnet. We have 10 millisecond, and we're trending toward 1 millisecond. So we're 40x faster than Solana. And that's the only thing you need to know about MegaETH. It's fast and cheap.
So basically, if you want to translate this into everyday user experiences, I can buy shitcoins more faster without waiting for the transaction to
Yes, you can also cheat
finalize.
faster if you cheat. Yeah.
The crypto space and especially the layer 2 landscape is highly competitive. What's been the hardest moment in building MegaETH?
What is the hardest?
Yes, what was the hardest moment until now, until the private testnet to build MegaETH?
I think the hardest part was everyone was confusing us with other fast EVM chains. It was very difficult to tell the story of how differentiated MegaETH was. And I think the way we solved it was to continue to emphasize on the same message, right? Like, which is, MegaETH isn't a layer 2. It's the first real-time blockchain. And the real-timeness, again, comes from low latency.
Okay. Okay, that is very okay, good. And I know that MegaETH is inspired by Vitalik's Endgame blog post. Can you break down that vision translated into the MegaETH architecture?
Yeah, absolutely. So Vitalik wrote that endgame of an EVM blockchain is one where you have relatively centralized block production, which is actually what the sequencer does, and then really decentralized validating network, right, which is the validator nodes. So that's exactly what MegaETH does in the sense that we actually have a centralized sequencer, which we have done like 100,000x improvement by getting rid of the Merkle Patricia tree and rewrote the entire database. And then we have a very light validating network, which you can run on your phone. So what you're getting is when the block production is so fast, you're almost like streaming blocks, right? You're not producing block. The blocks just come. So every transaction becomes a block. So that's what Vitalik wrote in the endgame architecture. And the way we manifest it, we call it node specialization. So for every node in a blockchain, they are specialized and tailored based on their hardware and software need. So what we always say is, MegaETH is really the end game because we optimize every little component of the blockchain so much. There's like very little room to improve. I mean, obviously there's always room to improve, but we're definitely like years ahead of others.
And also, you have different types of nodes, right?
Different type of nodes, yes.
And you don't use rollups.
So we're not a rollup. Rollup are people
Yeah,
who use Ethereum DA. We use
exactly.
Eigen DA. So the best way to think about MegaETH is what is really the blockers for a blockchain to be fast. The blocker is actually consensus, right? Consensus means like you have a globally distributed network and the nodes, and they all have to agree on each other. So from our perspective, we're like, hang on, but that's what Ethereum does, right? Ethereum has a very diverse set of nodes all over the world. And then they've been kind of agreeing with each other for the last decade. So we don't need to replicate the same thing. We just need to do a really good job with the sequencer. So what we're doing is let's use what Ethereum does the best, which is security and consensus. And then let's use what Eigen does the best, which is data availability. And let's do what we're doing the best, which is the execution environment. But as a result, there's no consensus on MegaETH, right? Which is why we're
Oh,
fast. And
okay.
Solana is another comparison in the sense that consensus also has weak, Solana also has weak consensus. Solana has like one leader, right, who proposed the block, and the rest just follow, rather than like everyone has to agree on the same block. So, in the sense that Mega is very similar to consensus than with any Ethereum blockchains.
So, as a summary for me, because now is more clearer in my head, the biggest misconception about MegaETH is that it's an L2, it's not an L2, it's a real-time blockchain. It only uses Ethereum as a security, and it uses EigenLayer's DA.
Yep.
Sounds good, and thank you for that. I want to talk a little bit about the community right now because I know how community is very important to you guys, and especially in crypto. But some projects tend to put more accent on the community rather than not. So, how does MegaETH plan to build a strong identity that resonates with both devs and users?
Yeah, so I think we have a very tailored and hands-on approach with developers. We work with them from the initial ideation to like raising money. So fun fact for your audience, the MegaETH applications actually have raised more money than MegaETH the chain. So we actually have more developers on our chain than anyone else, period. And then from a user perspective, I think it's a much longer education process, right? When users see you, they're like, oh, wait, Vitalik invested, so maybe you're good. But hang on, ETH is very weak right now, so maybe you're not good. So you can never really please community. I think what we can do the best is to be the best communicator, to be very patient, and to be very receptive to feedback.
What does the community look right now? Who are exactly the early adopters? How do you see that expanding?
The early adopters are performance maxi, people who love fast blockchains. A lot of the community come from Solana. Some of them come from Monad. That's it.
You guys will launch the Fluffle NFT collection. You just announced it, I don't know, this week. What's the vision behind it, and how does it fit into the broader MegaETH ecosystem?
Yeah, so the Fluffle was a very crypto native way for us to get community in at very lower valuation, right? So what we're seeing in crypto is you have this high FTV, low float coin, right? So I could have gone to VC and raised a $1 billion valuation, but I felt it was wrong. Like, I think you and I got into crypto not because we want to buy some VC coin, right? Like, I didn't, at least I would never do that. So I don't think my community wants to do that either. So what we're doing is via this Fluffle, they're not, people think, oh, these are NFT, but they're not NFT, right? These are like ways for people to get skin in the game in MegaETH. So the idea was, okay, you get the Fluffle, you get the NFT, it represents a large amount of equity in MegaETH at a very low valuation. So 500 mil is very low, and it can go lower. Because I mean, with VC round, I'm getting offer for $1 billion, and I'm not even taking it. So when we TGE, when we launch our mainnet, then it represents significant upside to the community. So all I'm saying is, don't look at it as JPEG. It's not JPEG. It's just a way. It's just a way for you to get into. Yeah.
But how can I, if I am a regular user, how can I put my hands on the NFT? First, I assume I have to be in the community, right?
Not really. If you look at our whitelist criteria, if you've done on-chain transactions before, you would be eligible. So some of the DeFi community include Pando, Ethena, and a lot of social application. I'm a big fan of Joke Race, Sofama, Unlonely. If you have ever done things on Solana as well, if you use Hive Mapper and Helium, if you are early on Hyperliquid, you should all be whitelisted.
Okay. Since we've talked a little about fundraising, I want to touch point from the beginning. The initial round I know was a VC round plus Vitalik Buterin and Joseph Lobin. How did that happen? How did you convince MegaETH? How did you convince them to invest in MegaETH?
It's a no-brainer. I didn't have to convince them. They wanted to invest.
That's a very good answer. And after that, you also had a Kobe round, which finished in 3 minutes, 10 million.
Yeah.
So basically, the last 2 rounds are community rounds.
Yes, absolutely. No VC round, just community.
Just community. And after that, I assume you don't want to raise more capital or anything, right?
I don't think so. I actually think a lot of projects that raised like $100 million. I mean, everyone has their approach, right? I've worked for 13 years now. I think sometimes having too much money is dangerous for a company's growth. You should always be a hungry mode, right? You should always be starving.
That's a good point. MegaMafia. You've been making waves with MegaMafia. It's another MegaETH community-driven initiative. Can you tell me more about its role?
Yeah. By the way, you're very thorough in conducting research and asking the right questions. So thank you.
Not really, because you saw that I had some misconceptions at the beginning.
All good. Yeah. So MegaMafia are just a bunch of builders who are really pushing the boundary of what are the net new applications that can exist in crypto, right? So with MegaETH, it's just a very new blockchain, so fast. So we're just like, what can we actually be built right on this blockchain? I don't want to run a ghost chain. Like, I'm not being a founder to have no one making transaction on my chain, right? I want to see a prosperous ecosystem. So we just identify a bunch of builders who are pushing the boundaries of okay, even with DeFi, with a faster chain, these are the improvements, right? With social, now with a faster chain, actually user would love this interaction a little bit more. So it's very much curated, very much tailored, and a lot of them are very risky bets as well, right? They might not work. But you know what? I'd rather make bets than having copy pasta on my chain. I refuse cold pasta.
You told me earlier that actually the projects building on top of MegaETH raised more money than the actual chain. Can you tell me what projects are you bullish on right now for MegaETH that are big?
They're all my babies. Folks can go on Twitter, 0x MegaMafia, and that's where you can see all our announcements. And yeah, each one of them are very different.
Okay. I want to touch down a little about who Shuai is because, from my point of view, as a woman working in a male dominated industry, you have some challenges that you faced. How do you navigate them?
I think, first of all, I don't see myself as a woman in a male dominated industry.
No? Okay.
Well, my
That's
name is
interesting.
literally Brother Bing, so I'm psyopsing as a dude online.
Yeah,
Crypto is the
that one.
greatest.
Please,
Crypto is
please.
the greatest equalizer in the world. I think I am someone who sees opportunity. I think everyone else is, and then it's an equal playing field.
How many dudes online did they wrote to you, hey bro, or something like that that they don't
Every
know
day,
you?
and I will bring them back.
And what exactly is the story behind that? Why Brother Bing?
Yeah, so I actually used to have a column with Decrypt. I like to write. And the column was called Dabing. So Dabing actually means Bitcoin in Chinese. So it literally means a pancake. So people knew me as my column. It's like, oh, Dabing, Dabing. And then the place where I'm from in China, in Beijing, people tend to refer girls as brother. It's just something weird about girls
Oh,
from Beijing.
really?
Yeah, so people are like, oh, brother Bing, brother Bing. And I was like, you know what? I'll just be self-sing as a dude. And then I have this tiger profile on my Twitter, right? So literally everyone thinks I'm a dude. I love seeing their face when they see me in person.
What's your daily routine like? What's a day like in Ushuai's day? Do you have any habits or rituals that keep you at your best? Co-founding a project like a MegaETH, I'm sure it's not something very lightly.
Yeah, I can tell you my day. So I think it's a pretty typical day. Got up at 6 and 7 a.m. right now, so I'm talking to you. And I think from 7 until noon, I have a few calls. And then I go to one of the MegaMafia's office in New York, where I'm going to record another podcast. And then I'm going to talk to my team about, the NFT stuff, because we're minting and we don't want a gas war. So it requires us like all be in the same room and just hammer it out. We usually leave the office like 9, 10 p.m. and then call it a day and then go back and doom scrolling on Twitter, responding to messages. And next
That's
again,
the
I'm
only way. If you could go back 5 years, what advice would you give your younger self?
You definitely take more risks. I was at Consensus for many years. I think that was a little too long. I should have left earlier.
What's one thing people don't realize about the stress of being a founder in crypto?
I think people did not know that you need to have a very strong willingness to win and to win long term. Maybe this is not contrarian. Let me think. So what do people don't know about being a crypto founder? Maybe this one, like after being a founder, basically you stop being in the trenches because you have to work all the time. You actually lose money.
Yeah, I think here is a paradox, right? Because to build infrastructure for the trenches, you have to be in the trenches, but then you have to leave the trenches to build infrastructure for the trenches, but you are not connected with the trenches. So how do you manage to do both things?
Yeah, it's difficult, but you must keep save time. And everyone in MegaETH are extremely crypto native, right? So, like for example, today I'm going to claim my bear chain airdrop. Actually, all of us have been in a lot of ecosystem together. A lot of us have been trading on Hyperliquid. So I think that part is just we love the game, right? So we're naturally very involved in different ecosystem. But the difference is I used to be way more in trenches. Like, for example, I got a lot of airdrop from Virtual, and I completely forgot about it. Apparently, when they did LBP back in 2022, I just aped because I was in the trenches. And then they airdropped me Virtual, and then I had no clue. So I think now I just ape less. But everything that's upcoming and big, yeah, we're definitely in it.
Looking ahead with MegaETH, so we are looking at the Fluffle NFT collection, also the public testnet. It's 25 days or 28 days,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because I remember I saw the post initially, if it was like 2 days ago. So we are expecting the public testnet, and when can we expect mainnet? Or is this something that is not better to be discussed right now?
We don't know, but yeah, hopefully not too long. Like we need the chain to go live.
Good. And I really want to know, like, what's Mega's strategy for mass adoption right now? How do you see that playing out?
I think mass adoption must happen with the application layer, right? Which is MegaMafia. I think the best thing we can do to crypto is to make sure that the right application founders get lots of support from us. I think everything else will actually follow.
Sounds good. We are entering the last chapter of the podcast, and we want to wrap things up with some rapid fire questions to get a sense of where your head's at when it comes to crypto. So for this one, very, very quick top of mind answers. What's the most underrated and overrated idea in crypto right now?
VPN.
VPN?
Yeah.
So that's overrated.
Sorry, VPN's underrated.
Okay.
Overrated? Perp.
Okay. Favorite community in crypto right now besides MegaETH, of course.
Love bearer chains. The bearers are so cute.
Yeah. I mean, today is the big day for Bera, right? What's one thing you've changed your mind about in the last 12 months?
Most communities are mercenary. I used to think communities are loyal. Now I think they're very mercenary.
They hop into one eco to another, right?
Yes. And the only way to build a sticky community is to go through the trauma phase together, right? Is to go down together and filter out those who are weak hands and find out who actually stay with you.
What's your favorite book that had a major impact on you?
Elon Musk, the biography for Elon Musk.
What's the biggest mistake people make when entering crypto?
Oh, shitcoin trading and thinking it's gonna make money.
Top 3 most used crypto apps that you actually use?
That I actually use?
Yeah, crypto apps.
Oh, recent. I mean, Hyperliquid for sure, but I don't trade that much anymore. Does wallet count? I mean, Phantom.
Yeah, it's still an app at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, that's Phantom.
Okay, what keeps you going through tough times?
You know, I feel more alive during tough time. I don't need anything to keep me up. I just actually love tough times.
Your heart is pounding.
Yeah.
One piece of advice for future builders in crypto?
You have to really understand if you like crypto. Because if you don't, you're not going to survive bear market. And you should not build in crypto because you're wasting your time.
To be honest, this bull run wasn't so good at all, so you have to think about this too, not only the bear market.
You have to genuinely believe in crypto's world domination because everything in the world is telling you this thing is fucked up.
Yeah. Thank you for this, Shayo. I really enjoyed the conversation, and please have a great one.
Thank you for having me.